How's it going, everybody? Waiting on our guest. Hello, Gemini Moon, Carrie, and Kimberly in the Zoom room. There we go. Hey, Jeremy, Valerie Peterman. I'm going to put the, hello, Jenny. I'm going to put the Zoom link onto the comments, because for the last 10 days or so, everybody's getting kicked out of Facebook numerous times. So if you want to watch it uninterrupted, you can go to the Zoom room. There is the link. All right. Let's see. And just share it out. Got 15 people. Hello, Amy Sunshine, Maria, Sally Sass from Boston, Connie Ma. I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a long day of broadcasting. I think this is the 5th show today. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. If you guys have any trouble with getting kicked off of Facebook, it's been happening for about 10 days. Hello, Valerie. You can go to the Zoom room. I pinned the link in the comments. Just waiting on our guest. Let's see. Let's share it to some groups. And wait for Franco to get in here. All right. One. Okay, 21 people. Johan Gravel, Geraldine, what's going on? Shara Domke, Sue Baxter Fitz, Lena Scher, Shane Kettle, Kim Atkins. Hey, how you doing? Agnieszka Piotrowska. Good to see some new names, new faces. There's Franco. Go ahead and pull them up. We'll get the show started. These shows resonate with you, please share. And thank you for the continued love and support and contributions that allow us to keep doing what we're doing every day. We do appreciate it. Hey, Franco.
Hello. There you are.
How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you. How's it going with you?
It's going good. It's been a long day of broadcasting, and been an eventful 3 weeks since around the solstice, that full moon last month. But I'm really happy to be ending this the 5th show of the day with you. I have declared prior to this that by the time this show's over, all distortion and distraction will be removed and
awesome.
Obsolete in the program.
Perfect.
So
perfect.
I'm just here to play. I want to play, so let's play. Well, welcome back.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me back. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is a pleasure talking to you. It really is. Yeah. So, and how's Kimberly?
She's doing well, thank you. Yeah, she's been busy running around, and she's leaving again tomorrow to do some family stuff up north. So she's getting herself ready for it. But I think her sister is doing her 60th birthday, so she's got a few things she's organizing for the weekend.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as she's keeping you in line.
Yes, well, she does a good job with that. That's for sure.
So the man, the from the 20th on, and I've been talking about it like a broken record, but the 20th on through this present moment has been so expanding, it's so incredible. But it seems to me that the message is clear. We're here to play and be in joy and be in bliss and be aligned with the things that are truly who we are and what we are and what we're a part of. And you know, we don't even have to worry about telling the universe what we want because it knows what we want. And when we have joy, we attract joy, and so on and so on. I'll lead with that and see where you want to go today. And please go as deep as you want. I'm here to expand and learn, and I know everybody else is too.
Yeah, and we'll keep it open so that if anything comes to mind that you want to expand on, we can absolutely expand. Absolutely, I'm open to play with anything, really. You know, at times it's such a vast amount of whatever we can play with. It's always like great to kind of pinpoint a direction that we can go in. But yeah, all the stuff that's been going on, like you said, since the 20th, it's actually moving forward the way things are aligning for all of us. And as you've heard, there's a lot of adjustments being where, we have our two realities, or what we call cluster realities, in the sense of one that reflects more of a 5D and one reflects more of a 3D, being more in alignment and creating more of a, what do you call it? What's the word? A synchronicity of putting these energies together and creating an environment. So all of us that are choosing to go one or the other at this point in time are kind of doing whatever is necessary, because both parties, if you're going to go and play in the third dimension or you're going to play in the fifth dimension, there's still a work in progress for both, because nobody's truly in third or fifth 100%. And when I say truly, I'm talking about the truth, or what we call the natural, our true 3D versus, the inverted and the 2D stuff that was, we have labeled as 3D, because many of us, been talking about 3D and so forth, but in actual fact, we really haven't been really referring to that. We were referring to the inverted 3D and the 2D. So all the alignments that are happening right now, energetically and so forth, is kind of crystallizing the two paths and saying, okay, these are the two, and we have the two parallel worlds that are kind of interlaced with each other. And in essence, to kind of allow us to tune into each one and change our vibration and frequency accordingly. The one thing I'm going to throw it at you, Todd, is that as you've noticed, and may have noticed much more lately, is that each time you have a shift in yourself, each time that you get another access of awareness or anything of that nature, even how you feel actually brings out another version of you, and it also enters what looks like another parallel aspect of yourself. So in essence, all the versions of you around you, or your playmates, start matching that new version of you. So in fact, you're looking at yourself and you see and feel yourself quite different. And many of us have made the statement, it's like, I'm so much different than I was a week, a month, a year ago, 10 years ago, even early today, type of thing. And what's happening is that as we are creating these shifts, our reality around us is being shaped accordingly. Okay. Yeah. And because everybody around us is another vast facet of ourselves, we actually give the full role that they are playing much more clarity. So in essence, even though they're a multidimensional being of ourselves, they also have various versions, which can go from one version to the next version to the next version, depending on what version you're calling upon, even though you're not conscious of it. So in essence, you get into an angry version of you, or you trigger a program, because there's not an angry version, but is a program that triggers an emotional charge called anger, which transmits a certain frequency, and all of a sudden your whole reality around you starts to shape around that. And then because of that anger state, the various versions of the playmates around you, including your surrounding environment, meaning whatever you're seeing around you, starts to create sort of a matching frequency to kind of support you in that state. so that you have a more holistic experience within it. So, but the beauty of it, you can have it overlaying. So in essence, you can have one person that's in a very neutral, peaceful state and somebody that's having a very emotionally charged anger state. And they can be looking at the same scenery and they're actually seeing different versions of the scenery, and the playmates respond very differently. So you may see, say you're looking at one person and that person is acting a certain way towards you, you being in an angry state. I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying that you're in that state, but you're having an anger state. Another person beside you that may be in a calm state is also looking at the same person, and they're seeing another version of that person. And while both are being in their states, they're seeing two versions responding very differently of whatever playmates in front of them, either right there or and so forth. And the same thing with the environment. So in essence, I've heard this from many people, and I've noticed this for a long time. It's like, how come every time I go through a shift, everybody else around me seems different or changes? And I had somebody that said that they got up one day and they were having a sort of a challenging day, and they actually went out, met some neighbors in the neighborhood, and they were totally shocked because when they were walking down the street, he was just walking a dog down the street, that everybody was really mean or was acting very strangely and kind of almost like, what the heck happened? In fact, they met one of the nicest neighbors normally, and this neighbor actually was very volatile towards this person. So being that he had already done some work on himself and so forth, he goes, okay, my state has to be with this. So he took his dog and walked home again, went home and did a little bit of a meditation, adjusted the way he was feeling about the environment himself and so forth, and was more in a calmer state, and then went back again with the dog for the walk. And he says, I met pretty well almost the same people, but they were nice, accommodating, cheerful, and, you know, and they shared it with me some time ago, and they said, what happened there? You know, it's just, I knew that we had effect on our reality and our environment and how people would engage with us, but I never imagined that it was that profound. And in essence, what's happening now is more accentuated to that level of shifting everything around in much more expanded and accelerated rate. So you can have, you don't even have to go back to meditate and to kind of bring yourself in centered, because in essence, you can just say, okay, I'm going to tune into this state of calmness, and I'm going to let go of this whole anger, for example, or feeling anxiety or something like that. And you almost see instantaneously the people change in front of you. Yeah. So it's like they're completely different. And to be honest with you, and I've had this feedback from others because I've seen it myself, is that somebody might be in an argumentative state with someone, and just the fact that they said to themselves, okay, drop this, calm, just I activate my home calm frequency, and that instant communication, that happened instantaneously after that, had totally started to shift. And all of a sudden they were understanding each other and they were agreeing on whatever they had to agree. So this is what we're experiencing right now. But at the same time, we will also reflect opposite, what looks like opposite. So you can be in a calm state, and a part of you, all of a sudden you get someone coming in with a more aggressive state towards you. Yeah. So in that particular, there you go. So in that state, it's not so much because you're creating a reality that matches to that. You're actually now creating a reality that allows you to see something that is in the background that you're not noticing.
Yeah. So yeah, let me go through this because I love this. I'm seeing some comments and I realize that where we've been, what we've known, what we've been aware of has served us. But there's a point where it seems that it's not going to serve us anymore. In other words, something as simple as, be calm and all you'll experience is calm. It sounds to me like what you're saying, which makes total sense, is that with the example of the two people looking at the same person but seeing two different things, okay, that if whatever, let's just use me as an example, whatever my disposition is in that moment, I can walk down the street, the proverbial street, and come across my friends and neighbors, and some will reflect my vibration, and some might reflect the polar vibration, or a contrasting vibration. But this is due to the many faces that we all have. And the point is, from what I'm getting from you, is don't judge it. Don't judge them. Okay, that is you. But instead, look at it. What is it? What is it showing me? You know, without taking it personal, which you know, I think is like, you know, I've said for a long time. You know, this is a very personal trip, but don't take anything personal. That's easier said than done. But you know what? It can be done, and what you're saying seems to be. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. It's not the typical human experience. It's the new divine human experience, I guess is how I'd put it. And I thank you for explaining that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, Todd, this part about the personal, not to take it personally, who you are doesn't take anything personally. Who you are sees this beautiful dance around you to say, okay, how can I utilize everything that's playing out to kind of advance me, to connect me to who I am, and to bring that part of me. The part that makes it personal and starts to judge it, or starts to feel certain emotions and whatever else, or reactions and responses, is your ego program, your ego mind, right? That's the only thing that gets personal. So anytime you feel that it's personal, you know where it's coming from. It's saying, oh, it's that little critic in me, that little activating AI that is doing something for me. But don't see that as the enemy either, because in essence, you're saying, oh, okay, great. Now that you're playing with something and you're showing me this, that means I still have something that you have access to. And thank you for showing this for me. And I love you for that, right?
Yeah.
So in essence, you always look at it that way. One of the things that I say a lot of to people is, no matter whatever's playing around you, never point out to say, well, it's this, or because of this, or, you know, that, and somehow I'm affected by whatever happened to me. The thing is, whatever happened, whatever is happening, whatever is role that anybody's playing, it's basically, you have to look at it and say, okay, great. Thank you. I'm allowing this. I'm activating this. I'm putting this into my experience right now to kind of show me something that I'm choosing to advance from, move forward, and really let go of, because this is baggage for me, or it's slowing me down. And like you said, Todd, it no longer serves me.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people with some credibility, I mean, you know, it's credible. I think this is a transition, you know, so it's, again, you know, what's true yesterday isn't true today. What worked yesterday doesn't work today. People talking about feelings, talking about emotions, not running from them, and so on. And so I'm listening to you, and I'm having all these things play in my head, which is what you said. You know, somebody says to me, you did this to me, or you didn't do this for me, or me saying, I might say, you know, that's not my problem, but it is not a problem. It's just something being shown to me, which is what you're saying. And then, of course, you know, my feelings. Let me tell you my feelings. I don't know. I'm in this space where I'm really getting quieter. You know, if somebody comes at me, I just don't want to say anything, because you know what? I don't know what to say. I need to integrate it. And I'm not that good yet. You know, I'm not that on top of it yet to say what the perfection of it is. Because even if I could, how am I going to convince the other person? You know, so I love this thing about going inside and handling it there. And I love the quietness, or at least I'm learning to move to that quiet state, even if I'm asked, what, you know, you're awful quiet, you're not saying anything. It's okay not to, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I'm looking for
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is too, one of the key factors you can use is not even so much going into quiet, because yes, quiet, you basically get a chance to reflect. But what you do is you remind yourself very easily, okay, I'm going to step into observer state and I'm going to watch what's playing out as an observer rather feeling engaged and entangled with whatever's playing out. So if somebody's acting a certain way, you want to just step back. You just, in your mind, you're stepping back. Let me look at this. I'm just observing. Just go, I'm observer now. You're observing them. You're observing how you're feeling and how you want to respond, and say, okay, how is this going to serve me at this point in time? That making yourself almost the third person as the observer is actually a powerful tool. The other thing you want to throw into the mix is that you don't have to convince anybody anything.
Right.
Because they're saying what they need to say, even though they're unconscious, for whatever you need to receive to allow yourself to look at yourself and look at, not that there's anything wrong with you or anything of that nature. You're staging everything. This is the beauty of it. I want to share this very key here. Never, ever, ever see that you're ever making a mistake, a poor choice, or anything of that nature. Always see that you're always staging things in certain ways to allow yourself to wrap up certain experiences, see some of the things that actually are your driver, and to be able to move through it, address it, clear it out, or just get a deeper understanding of it so that you can move on with it. Yeah. So in essence, the key we have to understand is that this playground we are designing. Our reality is all our own design, even though we see other people around us and they're playing a specific role. You never look at it and say, well, you know, they're playing a role that does not match with me.
Yeah.
No, whatever they're playing because you've asked them to play. You give them the instructions how to play. You're giving them all the details of whatever it is, but they're playing for you. Yeah. Now, on their flip side, whatever you're playing is playing for them too. So in essence, it's still you, both sides is you, but in essence, you're giving yourself that opportunity. Because when people ask me, how can I advance more quickly and effectively, efficiently? And I always remind them, and this is from many years of observation, many years of working with thousands of people, is that the moment you go into observer state and you take blame away from anything, don't look outside and say, okay. And when I say don't look outside, don't blame yourself either, because that's another default idea of program. It's like, it's my fault. I'm a bad creator. I'm creating. No. You are a perfect creator. You're creating the scenario environment, whatever is necessary for you to advance, even though at times it doesn't even look that way, but it's not the way it looks from a mind perspective, or what we call an ego perspective. Because from a true perspective, you see that whatever's in front of you, whatever you're creating in front of you, is there only to assist you to advance. Specifically now, right now, is that we are on the fast track. Many of us are on fast track. I'm not saying everybody. Many of us are on fast track and saying, okay, how can I do this most effectively? Well, I'm going to create every scenario possible in every dimension, every direction, so that I can see every aspect of myself, so I can actually get to the point I can truly see who I am outside of all these conditioned programs and defaults and trainings and belief systems and so forth. Because your purest form of sense doesn't have a belief system. Your truest form does not have any programs that carry you from the past or creates an emotional charge one way or another. Doesn't mean you can't experience emotion, but you're not driven by it or anything of that nature. So the true essence of you sees this playground, sees your environment, sees your engagement with others as an opportunity to play.
Yeah. So you're walking down the proverbial street. If you walk down the proverbial street and you were under the impression or believe that you're in bliss and everything you meet is bliss, then game over. What's the point? You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, so on the other hand, I like this very much, because as the observer, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to respond.
No.
I obviously don't have to react either. I can just observe and say, okay, and move forward. if I designed or gave instructions to my other self to say, well, why aren't you talking? And, well, don't you have anything to say? Or, I mean, no, it's okay. Is it okay for me to say I don't? And I'm talking about my occurrences in the field of my work, which brings a lot of people, a lot of me's with the directives I've given them, basically, to put before me so I can discover more about myself. But how am I going to discover more about myself if everybody's coming at me with pure bliss?
Well, the thing is, pure bliss is nice too, because what happens is when you're in pure bliss and you really reflect that all the time, then yeah, okay, you're not driven by programs, but now you create other ways of experiencing life, because we don't have to learn from polarity anymore. It's not a necessity any longer. So now you go into imagination, creativity, and creating other aspects of how to experience yourself. But the thing is, to what you had said just momentarily ago, when you're looking at somebody's saying certain things and they're saying, well, why are you not responding? What do you feel? Whatever it is. And you could easily say, and I've used this many times before myself, and I've taught other people to do so, is when they say that and say, well, I'm just observing all of this. I'm really trying to figure this out, or I'm connecting with this and I'm really observing what's playing out here. It gets them to question, and then they turn around and say, well, what do you see? And saying, wow, I'm just seeing some interactions here and so forth and whatever else. And you're just in that state where I'm stepping back and observing. I'm connecting with the whole event and experience and see what's there for me and what's there for this beautiful dance. Most of the time, they're just like, well, I don't even know what to say at that point, because in essence, it gets them to reflect too, if they choose to do so. If not, they'll walk away or they're not going to engage. But
that's my point. I mean, that's my point is that's how I feel. I feel like I don't know at the time. Like I feel like I'm being given information, no different than a download. And just like with downloads, they come in, you're like, I don't know what just came in. It'll come to me when it comes to me. But yeah, I want to integrate. This is just what I'm finding, with myself. Because I realize through the journey, as you can, when you're able to look back with this higher awareness, you have more introspection, and looking back at the past. But it's the game is. I like what you said too. We don't have to learn from polarity. That's meaningful. I feel like this creativity and this manifestation part of it, the fun, the play, I feel that. And one thing I do realize is anything involved, for instance, with my work or anything at all, that has any harshness or any force or you have to do this or anything that's like stringent, I'm just finding myself getting quiet and saying, I don't know what to do yet, but I'm not going there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is too, always to keep in mind, and this is for everybody, is basically not to be so hard on yourself and thinking that you always have to be prepared 1, 2, 3, 10 steps ahead of everything, right? I need to figure out everything I'm going to say, how I'm going to do it, and so forth. Now, because things are moving so quickly, we require more integration time. Now, the integration is not going to be a long period of time, but you're still giving yourself time to integrate, time to review, time to kind of tap into your higher self so that you're not responding emotionally. You're not responding by program. You're kind of responding or seeing certain parts of it from a higher awareness, a clearer awareness, a truer design state where it's not, reactive in any way. So that's it. And the thing is too, like you said, the stuff with the being personal, at times, we get onto what we call our mission or doing our stuff or whatever it is. And we are very hard on ourselves because we feel that we need to be perfect or that, everything has to go without a hitch or anything of that nature. Well, the thing is, that's not how it needs to be. It can be anything. It could be perfect. It could be what looks like not so perfect, but it is still perfect because in essence, that unperfect is exactly what needs to be played out to even refine our perfection in a sense. And what we believe is perfection a lot of times is not, because in essence, there's other parts of understanding that we may not get, right? And it's not perfection of what the ego says, you know, get everything right. Everything is right, even when it doesn't look that way from a perspective of a label or a definition or a collective idea or a thing of that nature. So with that understanding, there's nothing to be hard on yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And look at, you know, how many challenges people go through, and that's where they make the most amount of advancement in their life.
Yeah, I love that. That's why I love the spontaneous, you know, I love that. You know, I was talking to Annie Zumo today, and she said, I want to start doing some videos or video production, and I don't really know how to do everything. I've got some things I want to share and say. And I'm not saying I'm right. I just said, for me, just do it, you know?
Yeah.
Why just do it? You know, I mean, what do you, I mean, I've seen the magic of it. Spontaneous is more of our natural nature. To me, for me, it is. I'm not saying that it's true for everybody, but you know, I'd love to build everything and, you know, put all the spit and polish on it and create this perfection. But wow, you know, there's something about the raw, spontaneous, vulnerable, innocent, genuine moment that's just so expanding and so revealing. Revealing magic that you didn't even know you had, you know. Oh, that's.
And the thing is, the more raw, the more genuine it is. The more raw, it actually relates to people more, because in essence, people know, you know, if somebody's putting out something that looks so polished, okay, then they see themselves less than, while they're in their program, saying, well, I can't do that. I don't live that way. Or, you know, I have my ups and downs and so forth. So I see myself more inferior. But when you're coming in that raw state, when you're coming into your state where it's, you say, show whatever you're dealing with or whatever that may be happening at that point in time, it feels more, I can resonate with this person. I know how they're feeling, and I can understand how I feel with it, and I get a clear understanding. So you're right. Just go in there and just do it. And it'll upgrade. It will modify to.
That's it. Because if you do it, now let's just use a metaphor. You do it. Let's say it's just a broadcast, whatever, you know, a lot of video production. You do it. You put it out there. There's something there now. There's Play-Doh that you can actually build off of. You know, you can refine it. These elements of I don't know if it's the old or the ego or what, of this isn't right and that's not right and this isn't right and that's not, and I'm looking at myself going, well, what about what is right? What about the courage it took to pick up the camera and point it at you and actually make the video? Or what about these things that got you here? What about all that? You know, I mean, that's the magic. The magic is in adding additional frequencies. Well, you got to have something to start with. If you sit there and wait until you know, hell freezes over, it's not going to happen. We're here. We're here in the present moment. We're here to play. I want to play.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, everybody's in a work in progress. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're relating with people on a work in progress, instead of, you achieved and you're there, because nobody's going to get there anywhere at this point in time, because it's always moving, you know, and it's not a target that's moving, is that we're expanding. So as we expand, we're always, you know, aligning to that expansion and so forth. So, you know, a lot of times the ego mind and the collective idea is that you have to get it all right and you have to arrive before you can teach or share or to connect with other people and so forth. And that doesn't have the same impact, because in essence it's like, oh, they made it there, I'm never going to get there, or something of that nature. But when you see somebody, like you said, are talking about the different steps in their lives and what they've gone through, the ups and downs and whatever else, and what they've learned and so forth, and what they're still dealing with, then there's a relatability with them and saying, oh, okay, great. See, the thing is, the less polished almost it is, the more real it seems. And it seems more in alignment, because nobody's life is seen as polished. And even when it is polished, and I have to say this because there are some people that really show a very polished life.
Yeah.
And I've had sessions with them where I've done sessions with them. And once I'm working with them, that that facade of that being really polished opens up, there is like a lot behind it. So the appreciation of, it doesn't matter what's on the surface, everybody's going through various things, and it's not bad. It's all just, you know, allowing this to take place so that we actually become more of who we are, and it doesn't matter how we take. So in essence, you know, like you said, get started, you know, share what you have to share. Like the same thing, you know, when with our friend that you've asked a few times to come on the show, you know, and said, well, I don't have, what do I have to share and so forth. And I go, you know, look, the journey you have been going in the last several years, the ups and downs, the directions and so forth, and whatever else you've went through, the different realizations you've gained, and then, you know, how you interacted with other people, and how every time that something shifted in you, how things changed in you. This is what people would love to connect with, because in essence, that puts their life in perspective, and they see that, oh, I'm not too far gone. I really can do this if they can do it. And they see more examples of that. So in essence, it's not waiting until you think you got it. It's while you're in motion, while you're working on it, because you're never going to get it 100%. Because the thing is, the beautiful thing is, you say, I'm going to get this level. And when you get to that level, this is going up, and you're still trying, always going on, because that's the way our natural design is. Okay. Even our truest essence, a source, is not stagnant. It's growing, expanding constantly. And we have to be okay with that, because that's what's our natural state. That's the only way, like you said, if everything's just bliss and just, oh, nothing's going on, we're not creating it, we're not experiencing anything, it gets boring.
That's
imagine, imagine source. Source is like, I'm source, I'm everything. Now, what do? I'm hanging around here. I can do this for a while, but hey, I got to do something else here. Let me see what else I can achieve, what else I can create. And that's the part that made everything else around us, including us, be here, be wherever, be in all the multi-dimensional, all the different universes and galaxies and planets and physicalities and sentient beings and so forth. Those are all facets of Source saying, okay, let's see what we can do. And the beautiful thing about that, never in any point in time is saying, well, any creation I do, any expression I get into, one expression's better than the other. No, it doesn't exist. It's like there is no right, wrong, or good, or best, or whatever it is. We're just playing here. We're just going to do everything. And even if I plug in polarity, which has happened, we're going to see that the polarity has its purpose. Because not only are we going to check the various variations and the different polarities, we're going to see how it is just to switch back and forth, even in different states of being. And we can go like this, no problem. I'm going to go up, down, whatever it is, because that's how we get to play, how we get to discover ourselves and so forth.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why I love your explanation of what went down here for the last 15,000 years. Rather than there being a evil interference or, you know, corrupted, distorted, whatever, you know, and all that stuff, that some of our mirrors came in and said, hey, we want to make this game, we want to create a bigger payoff, we want to create a higher potential for expansion, you know, and that's unity. That's, you know, and not only that, but we agreed to it, you know, we just don't remember it. But yeah, I love that. You know, it takes all the nefariousness out of it. You know, there is none. There isn't any. Only what we carry with us. Only that belief that we carry with us. It's a perfect divine order. We can never forget that. Yeah. I'm ready to play. We've come a long way. This is like the coming out. Like a coming out party.
Yeah. Let me share one thing that's you'll find humorous or interesting, possibly at this point in time. I work with souls and actually human entities that actually leave the planet. So they leave the physicalities, you know, they check out, whatever you want to call it. And I can tell you, some of the ones that I've worked with were at a point where they were so fed up with the game of life to the point where they had such powerful judgments, so lost in their experience that they couldn't wait to leave, couldn't wait to check out. Like, I'm out of here. Bring me home, Scotty. I want to get out of here. I want to go home, right? And I've worked with souls that actually were in that state. And I'm not saying the souls per se, but the physicality with all of that working together and saying that I want to be out of here, you know, like I don't belong here or anything of that nature. Once that separation occurs, where there's the physicality is now merging with Gaia, and you have the human entity merging with the collective human entities, and the soul is going back through the process, uniting with the soul family, and then choosing what they're going to do from there. Each and every one, it didn't matter how, they're always, when they leave that part, when that separation goes in and the soul is in itself, it's actually looking at things and going, wow, what a ride, what a fantastic experience. I just can't wait to get back down there or to choose something different. And I'm going to choose something even more challenging next time, or I'm going to change something that is completely different than anything I've chosen. And the same thing applies with the human entity. Even when it sees that so much suffering or whatever it is, the moment the mind is gone, the ego mind and the judgment and all those layers, which creates the scenery and the intensity of the scenery, because even that plays a powerful role. Like you said, we accepted it and so forth. When it's separated from that, each and every one is excited for a new adventure. It's not saying, no way, I'm not going back down there. I'm not going to do that no matter what. I've never heard that. Even from people that are family members that were so lost, including my own mother, which showed up twice in my life after she checked out at the soul level. Like, it was just, even in her closed-minded religious idea and whatever it was, like that version of her, of that soul, was like, yeah, that was like, without the mind, it's a whole different view, and almost looking forward to the next opportunity to possibly come back here, right? Yeah. And so just to show you that the game that we're playing, when we're so ingrained in the programs and stuff like that, may seem like it's bad. But in essence, when that's unplugged, everything's just a beautiful experience. Everything's a beautiful dance. And you came here to play.
That's right.
And you play.
I agree. I've always said I would be the first one to come back down to shoot. I mean, because I realized, like you said, you know, to me, the source is like a star up there with the perfect, you know, resonance and illumination and music, and everything's perfect, the perfect 10. And not that there's, I mean, that's beautiful. That's home. That's whatever, you know, but man, we're here to grow. We're here to expand. And that's what it's all about. We're living. We're living. We only have this chance one time. You know?
One time in this body, yes.
That's right. One time in this moment.
But we have, you know, unlimited opportunities. Even if planet Earth wasn't even here, you have still unlimited, because we still create other realities, other playgrounds, and so forth. But look at it this way. Just give you another thing. Just imagine this is source, one beautiful cluster. This is source. Like you said, it's like perfect, 10, whatever it is, okay? Source saw itself, I can do more than this. I can actually create something more. So basically it's split up, so there's two. And saying, I'm going to hold this space to remind you who I am, okay? Holding this beautiful, powerful vibration, okay? And also continues, this other part of me, which is just a duplicate, will go out and fragment itself in quadrillions of ways and create multitudes of playgrounds, multitudes of versions of itself, and go out and play while it's still connected to all of this. And at the same time, this is actually holding a space, but expanding at the same time. And that version is going out to play. Now, when we say going out, it's still in the same field. It doesn't go outside that field, because there is nothing outside the field, because the field is everything, right? So it's in that field of sourceness, you know? So that is what we're dealing with. This is who we are, really. So we've come here, and this is why it's so exciting, because even when you remember who you are, you're no longer seeing whatever you're playing as a challenge. You can see it as, oh, how can I bring myself to another level, or how can I play with this and so forth, rather than seeing I'm defeated. At times, you know, the thing that makes us look like we're defeated is it's just staging ourselves to see, okay, let me put myself in a corner so I can actually get to the point. I can feel the really intense sensation of being locked up, and then expand and blow up my creativity, imagination to be able to go there. This is one of the factuations of sports, because in essence, it's like, I want to compete, but you know, it's been taken out of a different context. But at the same time, it's like, let me see what else I can achieve. Let me have these experiences. So many of us unconsciously will allow us to go into specific relationships, specific engagements, specific live streams, and so forth, to see, what can I do with this? Because look at it this way, Todd, and I know you can relate with this, and a lot of people online can relate with this. When you tap into, because I you know, doing the regression stuff and so forth for all these years with people, I found that when I take people through a regression process to go to the point before taking on a physicality, okay, and going through the selection point, selecting of where they're going to be born, when they're going to be born, what family they're going to be born in, or when I say born, taking on the physicality, where they're going to go into, what their intentions are, and so forth. It's like an excitement of creation and saying, okay, and it does not look at, oh, this might be a little too hard for me. Nah, you know, I don't like the poverty thing. Nah, I don't like this. Or so. No, it looks at it and says, okay, what can I do with this? How amazing would this be if I went from this state to that state? So let me stage it. And I don't want it too easy this time. I don't want to have parents that are supporting me and, you know, looking after me. I want to be parents that abandon me. I want parents that actually forget all who I am. And then I go from orphanage to orphanage, or I become homeless, or I go whatever it is. Just to stage all of that. That's all it is, because in that state, it's funny, because when I had people that even had emotional stuff that's really heavy for them, when they're looking at that and when they come out of it, wow, I didn't realize how much thrills and excitement it was when I was looking at that. So that's how I made my decision? Absolutely. You saw it for yourself. You did it. You looked at it. And it shifts the way of looking at it and saying, okay, well, if that's what I came in with, I'm going to look for the excitement about this. I'm going to look for what I can really do with whatever's going on in my way. In fact, I'm okay with anybody bringing anything to me. And I know that I'm allowing it to come in so that I can play with this. So in essence, your limited viewpoint expands immensely at this point in time, and say, all right, now it becomes even more fun and more excitement about engaging in anything at this point. So it's like, great, let's go for it. See, just with that little bit of a reflection, it really radically changes anything that's happening in your life. Because, you know, a lot of us have things going on in our life. And when we're looking at it, we're looking at from a programmed collective, or we're looking at our own program, or we're looking at what, you know, the ego mind is saying to us, this was a bad experience, or this was this, or this is not fair, or this is whatever, right? But when you don't look at it that way, you can see for the true what it is. It's a beautiful staging. What can I do with this? I've brought it into my reality. I've created, co-created, I've designed it for a purpose. And what is this purpose? Let me play it. Let me use it. Let me go on a state of not even knowing what it's going to be like. I just want to go and play with this.
Yeah.
It really shifts tremendously whatever's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. The experience, and then parlaying the experience into creative expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And the beauty of it right now is that we're, you know, moving through this a lot quicker and more effectively. We are actually allowing more what we call consciousness to come through us. So we start to recognize it more clearly and much more quickly, so that in actual fact, we can actually start shifting the way we see things. Yeah. Because it doesn't take much by just shifting the way we see something, actually already puts us into a new activation point, a new creation point. It actually shows us, and it brings us a level of appreciation. And you know, the thing is about appreciation, this is one thing I want to bring clarification. We, a lot of times when people say we need to appreciate our life, okay, it's always the focus is we need to appreciate all the good things that are happening in our life. But the thing is, appreciating what you believe from a collective perspective or program perspective is good, is actually creating not only separation, but is only looking at one side of the whole thing. The thing is, when you get to the point where you appreciate for this whole existence and anything that's coming in your life, no matter what has been labeled as good, bad, whatever, even appreciating that you're having the most miserable day, perceptionally wise, of course, it's always perceptionally wise, or, you know, deflective or reflective state of looking at things. When you have that type of appreciation, saying, wow, look at what I've created. Fantastic. How am I going to take this? How am I going to use this? What can I do next with this? And so forth. That's true appreciation. That's holistic appreciation, not segmented or separated appreciation. Because yes, it's one step forward to appreciate what's in your life, because a lot of times you appreciate all the good things. Well, appreciate, because look at it this way. I'm going to ask you, Todd. The things that we thought, or you've experienced yourself, we all have, okay, that you've experienced at first as something bad or something challenging, wasn't that the part that gave us the most amount of meaning and actually brought us to the next level of beingness?
Absolutely. 100%.
There you go, right? So that's the part you appreciate the whole thing, because all of it is all part and parcel of bringing that part of you out. And that's when you can really get to the point of appreciation and play, because now you're not afraid of, because I've seen people appreciate the good stuff and they're afraid of the things that they feel is no good. You know, the thing is, the more afraid you are of having certain things not go a certain way, the more you're going to want to create more of it so that you can actually get, reach, oh, I lost the word, but reach a maximum state of that so you can actually shift it. But when you appreciate anything and everything, you actually, at that point in time, you're kind of opening your eyes, and you're now no longer requiring to have something stagnant or keep repeating anymore. It's like you're open for anything and everything. So it's not like I just want the good stuff. All of it's good stuff, because there is no bad stuff, even though we labeled it that way.
That's right.
That hugely impacts a shift in yourself and a new level of creation in your own reality.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, I value more than anything all that stuff that I went through. And the crazy thing was, while I was happening, I felt like the most blessed soul that ever lived. I would say that. I'm the most blessed soul that ever lived. But it was weird. It's like walking in two worlds. And I guess that's what we're always doing. We're always walking in two worlds.
Well, there's the authentic world, and then there's the illusionary world. And the illusionary world serves the authentic world, because in essence, the illusionary world gives you the polarity or the different experiences, so that your authentic world actually becomes more authentic, more refined, and more expansive, and so forth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the two worlds do exist. One is an illusionary mind projection, which is great. The other part is the other aspect of yourself with the higher understanding, but it's okay to play with all of this and utilize it in any way possible.
How do we maximize co-creation?
Well, we're doing it all the time. The best way to maximize it is to always look at anything that is in your creation, anything in your reality as, okay, I've created this, I co-created this, let me utilize this fully. Let me see what's the purpose behind it. Let me see how I can utilize it, how I can bring a more authentic aspect of myself. It's always like anything and everything to be utilized, and not to push anything away. Because a lot of times the co-creation you know, we again create that separation. I co-create the good stuff and I don't want to co-create the bad stuff or anything like that. No, you're co-creating whatever serves you, whatever it is at this point in time. So when you see it, it's like, it's here for me to utilize, to indulge, to bring this as a way to really get what I need to get from this and actually expand accordingly. So in essence, it's not to reject any of the creation, because we're always creating and we're always co-creating, okay? But look at this, Todd. We are so good in creating that separation within ourselves. We are creating and co-creating, and then creating the illusion that I'm not co-creating, I'm not creating, and the fact that something else is co-creating and creating for me that is actually not looking after my best interest. When the truth is, you're always involved. There's no way not to be involved. There's no way that you will have any experience in any way, shape, or form that in some way you don't agree, some way that you did not create it, in some way you didn't co-create. But we create this illusion, which is beautiful too, but now we're coming to the realization, if we want to accelerate, we want to see the perfection and all of that. We create this idea that everything it's created outside of you, right, and that I can't, you know, that I didn't do this or whatever it is, because I hear this all the time. Well, I didn't create that. I would have never done that. But the question is, who just said that?
Yep.
I did not do that. It's definitely not your higher self. It's definitely not your human entity. It's definitely your human, or what we call your ego, that's saying that. It's not.
I didn't do that. That's not me. I'm part of this, but I'm not part of that. You know, it's the same thing. It's just a microcosm copy of the whole thing. Separateness is separateness. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know, if I am that, I am that. I can't say I am that, but I'm not that piece or that piece or that piece. Because who said that?
Exactly. And the master separator is your ego mind, because that's what it's designed for, to create separation between yourself and every aspect of yourself, because there's many aspects of yourself. You got a body, which has a body consciousness. You have a human entity, you have a soul, you have your overall consciousness, and then you have your ego mind, and then you have other aspects of yourself, which are all your playmates, and then all your soul families and so forth. There's so many parts of that, but it creates so many layers of separation that in fact you just see yourself all alone, and you see yourself completely disconnected from everything, and you're just now a bundle of conditional responses by whatever is playing around you, and that everything is coming to you and everything is attacking you or something of that nature. Because when I hear from people at times, you know, like people are attacking me and so forth, no, you're creating an environment that looks like that, and it's basically bringing up to something for you to see so that you could actually shift it, and that's all it is, right?
Right. Taking it to, like you said, it can take it to an extreme level, so therefore, A, you'll get it, and B, you'll get the most out of it, right? Let me ask you this. I know what you've said about the ego, and it resonates with me. And in essence, the ego is going away. It stays on the inverted 3D. Can the ego be in acceptance of abundance, of bliss, of joy, of purity and such?
The ego itself being into that, then it wouldn't be the ego anymore. It would be your own consciousness that would step up to that, because the ego is actually designed to promote inverted 3D and 2D. So it's actually a software that's been written. Now, some people say, well, can we rewrite the ego mind? Okay, so that it actually drops the whole thing about the separation, the blame, the right, wrong, good, bad, all of this stuff, and the fact of causing distraction to actually devolve you instead of evolve you. Can that be changed? Well, it will go through some sort of a transition, but it's not a requirement, because the ego was designed to create polarity. It was designed to actually create the challenge in the old way of creating challenge. We will not require challenge in the same way we're experiencing challenge now, as we're going into higher levels of true 3D and 5D. because in that essence, it's no longer a challenge. It's along of how far can I bring myself. So you're not self-challenging. You're pushing yourself in a way to access more of yourself and to create more realities that are utilizing that part of it. So it's not like I need to do this. No, you take that out of the way and let me see how I can blossom, open up, and bring more and more and more and more into my playground without having the always doing this, because in essence, this is actually still creating the polarity part. So this whole oneness thing is because ego's operating system is separation.
Yeah.
Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
Separate everything. Yeah. Not only separated, you don't even know who you are. Yeah. You are just this body, and you're already messed up as this body, because in fact, you're a mess. Okay, that's what it projects. I'm saying that's what it's designed for. And that was part of what you said earlier today, or earlier in our conversation, is that at that time we agreed to have that because, look, if I can get through this with this level of challenge, look at how powerful I will be. But that was in a state of consciousness of that time, the energies of that time. So this is the reason it's being, removed at some point, because it no longer requires that type of challenge. We're going into a oneness part of it, where how we can create. Because the thing is, now we create through an inverted matrix. We create for self. Yeah. Okay, separate from other selves. Not only separate from other selves, we're number one. But number one is that I need to make sure everybody's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth, because I need to be number one. And that's kind of what it projects, right? In essence, when we take that out of the equation, we see that we're all one. So in fact, it's not like I'm number one, we're all one. So that's work together as a unit rather than in separation. So each parcel or each piece of us, every aspect of our expression is making that one. And that one is only a piece of another one. And that chunk of one is another piece of another one. Because in essence, it's like pieces of the puzzle that we're putting together until you make the full puzzle, which is basically source, which we're already parts of source, but we're just all playing a certain piece to create that new canvas, that new expression. So in essence, really what we're doing is creating a new level essence of sourceness by having all these fragmented experiences.
That's right.
So as the ego mind at this point in time, it's becoming obsolete because we're no longer requiring that type of operating system to kind of push us into an inverted 3D and 2D, sorry. So it's no longer a requirement. So then another level of our consciousness comes in, which is our overall consciousness, which basically at that point in time works in harmony. So when for example, when the ego crashes or comes out of your operating system, then you're operating from a different level of consciousness without creating all this polarity stuff or separation stuff. That consciousness sees a bigger picture. Okay. And people have gone through this where, in certain levels, ego mind short circuits, the operating system short circuit. The first thing they say, it's like, wow, it's quiet. Not only quiet, I can hear myself. And when I say hear myself, they're hearing different aspects of themselves. But then they're saying, what is the observer right now? What's observing at this point in time? That's the true consciousness. And what's that consciousness? That consciousness is the mind. That mind is a consciousness that takes the consciousness from the body, consciousness from the human entity, the consciousness of the soul, the consciousness of all the other parcels, and creates a consciousness that creates you. But it also has a recognition of sourceness within it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's a great explanation. Very, very easy to understand. And I also wanted just to restate for anyone that might not have heard your explanation of what's actually happening, because I still see a lot of, I guess it's fear. 3D people are over there, 5D people are over there, or smart ones are over there, and the dumb ones are over there, however people want to put it. But the reality is that there's an inverted 3D, and that there is a harmonious 3D and a harmonious 5D and whatever comes after that. That wherever we go, we're okay. You know, it's not, it's this inverted 3D that was the teacher or the experience, or at least the prerequisite to what we're going to experience. And that's phasing out. Would that be, is there anything you could add to that?
Yeah, no, exactly. And it is phasing out because it no longer is a requirement at this point in time. And it's also affecting the advancements that we chose to do. And because we're interconnected with, you know, all the planets in our solar system, and the nucleus of our solar system is our sun, which is the main consciousness of all the planets within our solar system. But we're in a quadrant of the galaxy, and we're one of the hubs, one of the main hubs in that quadrant of the galaxy, which makes up also the galaxy. And then also we're part of the universe, right? So in essence, all parts of those are saying, okay, we've done this. We've played with all of this, and now it's time to upgrade accordingly. Yeah. So even this idea of the 3D and the 5D, neither one is better than the other. They're just different levels of expression and experiences, right? Yeah. So in essence, what are we doing? We're putting obsolescence, so we're closing off the inverted 3D and the 2D so that we either go into 3D, true natural 3D, or 5D, but not one's better than the other. Now, even the 3D, okay, if we end up going into the true natural 3D, it's a huge improvement from 2D and the inverted 3D, like huge. Yeah. But the thing is, even if you go into 3D, it's only right now, you get an intel here. It's only right now, it's only scheduled to stay intact for 15 years. 15 years. After that, it's going to actually be merging into 5D, regardless. So I'm going to give you 15 years. This is how the programming was with the master creators that are other facets of ourselves. Say, we're going to give you 15 years until 2035 to be able to get all you can from the 3D if you're going into 3D, so that you're now going to move into and merge with the 5D. And the 5D is basically saying, okay, we're going to bring that level of consciousness, and then everything, you know, wherever you're at that point in time, we're going to merge into 5D. But to achieve every single soul in the 5D world, which is where we would play in, it's going to take a few years before you get the 5D. So the planet's 5D. There's going to be souls that are 5D, but there's a lot of them that entered right at the cusp of cutoff saying, okay, I'm only at 3D, or I'm at, you know, coming out of inverted 3D, and I'm going to, because the soul said, we're going to go to 5D. So in essence, it's got work to do, and that may take a while. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it's not going to be as hard as it is now, or has been up to this point in time, because you're not going to have the two opposing energies. Like right now, look at the kickback that we have, you know, or have had. Anytime you try to move forward, you're almost like being pushed back by everything possible. It's just so like you're always going against the current sort of thing. And the current sometimes feels like it's pretty powerful. Well, the current shifts. Once you're in the 5D, then the current is pushing you into 5D rather than pushing you into inverted 3D and 2D when you're trying to go to 5D. And this is why people have found that they have short-lived visits into 5D, because in essence, their programs, their environment, whatever they're playing with, and then the collective is pushing them back into it. And they say, well, you know, I felt bliss, but I'm not feeling bliss right now.
I love that.
What happened? You know, did I fall? No, you had a setback, but the setback is really just to see that there's still some stuff that can activate you to go that direction. Yeah. So in essence, even in the 3D, it's not an issue, because in essence, it's perfect for the souls, because there's no like one better than the other. It's an experience, right? Yeah. So certain souls have already been in 3D for a very long time, maybe not on this planet, maybe on other planets, may have had some time here in this planet. But at the same time, it's saying, okay, you know, I've got enough that I need for the 3D. I'm ready to go to 5D. Others, you know, came here and never really got to experience 3D at all, because they went quickly into inverted 3D and 2D. So in essence, for them to go to 3D is like a huge bonus, but they want to have time to integrate, time to really learn their ways in the 3D before they actually move forward. Yeah. Regardless, nobody's left behind. You're just going to stay in the environment that you need for you to integrate and get yourself prepared to go to the next level. That's all. It's really just consciousness. That's it. It's not really so much a soul, so much of you know, because the soul itself says, well, you know, I'm not done with the 3D. Let me work on that. So let me spend some time there. Doesn't mean you're going to be there for 15 years. That means 15-year window right now. This is where it sits, right? 15-year window, you can sit there and experience everything in between. But if you get it done in 1 year, that's great. You get it done in 3 years, that's great. 5 years, that's great. 10 years, that's great. Whatever. There's no fixed. Every single soul is going to do whatever it needs to do.
That's like two soul breaths.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been here for 15,000 on this last week.
Yes.
Always a pleasure. I really look forward to collaborating with you. It's been a long day today, and we've been we've been experiencing. I'm observing that we've been experiencing what seems to be technical difficulties. I'm looking forward to continue forging ahead to an independent, free-flowing, free enterprise, free energy URL where we can all come together and continue to broadcast all of our non-physical and physical integrated into one ever-expanding vibration for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to the next time. And do you have any events coming up?
Yeah, the main thing that's coming up, which is just a little over 2 weeks away, that's our retreat. It's self-discovery, 7-day self-discovery retreat, which is basically perfectly aligned at this time because it actually gets a lot of people prepared for some of the events that are coming up in the year. And how better way to connect with yourself to actually work through anything that keeps you separate or having experiences where you're not actually connecting with yourself. So, and a lot of times we lose ourselves within the game of life. So this retreat is specifically designed for you to discover yourself, to be able to operate at a whole completely different level and to take anything and everything that is, you know, been your reality up to this point in time and shift it. So it's a fast track way of shifting it. So that's coming up on the 28th of July. And
where's that URL? What website is that at?
It's on my website at francodinicola.com. And with the postings, you also have the direct link that takes you to Eventbrite that explains exactly what you're getting, how to get it, and all the packages available for you to attend. And if you need me to send it to you, I can send it to you. But it was on your announcement for today.
Oh, it is. It is on the announcement.
Yeah, yes, it is on the announcement. The upcoming retreat.
Okay.
So it's just 2 weeks away. If anybody's really interested and feel called to it, then you know, we're trying to finish off our head count so we know what we're working with, so we can let the retreat center. You have until the last minute, but at the same time, we'd like to have whoever's considering it, you know, to kind of let us know so that we can prepare for it. And it's going to be an interactive retreat. And the thing is, it's not just lecturing or anything of that nature. It's fully experiential. Any of the retreats I've done, and I've been doing them for quite a few years now. It always, I mean, the first retreat I did in a long time was back in 2003. So I've been doing them since 2003. But in essence, each one seems to go to the next level, next level, next level. This one feels very powerful too. So in essence, we're just bringing things to the next level for people because they're ready for it at this point in time. So
absolutely. I'd love to collaborate on some stuff like this too. Powerful graphics on your website too. This is it right here, francodinicola.com. And then, like you said, and I did, it's on the body of the announcement, and we'll put it on the body of the live itself, and distribute it, you know, with on the YouTube as well. But this is it right here for those of you who are interested on the live, on the replay. What is it, July 20th? And
July 28th to August the 4th.
There you go.
So it starts Sunday. It's 2 weeks and a couple of two days away. Yeah, 2 weeks and 2 days away for it to start. And so basically, it's Yeah, I think it's on there for under events and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And so anyways, it's for whoever feels called to it. Everybody that's ever come to any of the ones have found it very life transforming for them. It actually shifted things in a huge way. This one's going to be even more powerful, and each one is actually tuned for where we're at and what is staged to move forward. And when I'm doing the retreats with people, when I'm working with people and so forth, it's interesting because each day, like we have a certain schedule of all the things that we're going to do, but each day other additional plugins to bring everything up to date all the time. So it's not stagnant. The retreats are never stagnant. It's never fixed either. They actually continuously expand as the days go and even leading up to it, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your record speaks for itself. I've gone back on a lot of your stuff, and it's very interesting. So he's got here on the how to connect. You got programs, but you got the event. And there's the information's there. There's a learn more link at the bottom of these. Now, you also mentioned sessions, and I know it says right here that you limit your availability for one-on-one sessions because you try to work with as many people as possible. But I don't know if you still are open to doing sessions or getting inquiries for individual sessions.
Yeah, I am doing it. Again, I don't book as many as I used to because I used to book quite a few each day. And now I'm leaving more time to work on several other projects to reach the masses. And so looking at it that way, I do less sessions per week than I used to. And a lot of times I also tune in to the people I'm going to work with and see who's really ready for what I share, because to me, most of the people on this call anyways are the ones that are drawn to it and resonate with it. But then there are also people just looking, to kind of create a little bit of a relief in their life. But, I like to work with people that are dedicated to kind of really shift their lives, because the work I do one-on-one is really to really make a big difference in their lives. So they have to be ready for that. And, sometimes the mind says, well, yeah, we're ready, but they're not ready. But when I say that, it's how they feel. Like, I'm ready to bring this to the next level.
Yeah.
And the way you can tell, I'm just going to say this, if you're resisting your experience and you're judging your experience and you feel bad in your experience and I need to change this, usually you're going into escapism. It's like, how can I get out of this because I'm judging my experience or I'm uncomfortable? Yeah. When we're talking about truly wanting to experience a change, you're basically feeling, I'm done with this chapter of my life. I really feel in resonance to go to the next level. And, this stuff I've been carrying doesn't serve me any longer. So I'm ready to let it go. Then you are more engaged in doing something about it. And then you're going to take action. And what the work we do is much more powerful because now it's an alignment that happens. I don't do it for you. We do it together. Anybody that's ever had a session with me, I don't go in and just fix them or anything of that nature or do healings or anything of that nature because I don't do any of that stuff. Basically, we go in, look at the operating system, we communicate with the soul, do whatever is necessary to create a chain of changes and shifting certain states of being. But we're also at the same time working with the individual so that they can do it themselves. So in essence, whatever we get done, they can actually carry on with it. Yeah. It's not like I don't want to disempower anybody. I empower people to be able to do it. So anytime that they're having a challenge, they don't have to call me for it. I mean, if I was in the business of doing one-on-one sessions as a counselor would probably be or something like that, then you want repeat business. For me, it's not about repeat business. I want to empower as many people as possible to move forward and to really take a shift in their lives. And that's it. That's my only interest, is to let them flourish, right? So in essence, you're actually helping them, and you're also, in a way, teaching how they can do it themselves, so they're self-empowered. So even when we're talking to their soul, a lot of times they say, well, what is my soul saying? I say, well, let's tune in, let's do it together and see what comes to you. Now I can hear it and I can actually get what their soul is saying, but I won't give them the answer. I'm just saying, okay, what is it saying to you? And if it's off, or the ego mind is getting in there, then I will ask a different question to bring them until they can actually get the answer very clearly. If the answer is only coming in bits and pieces, I will fill in the pieces to get them going. But in essence, really, I want to do it for them. Yeah. And even when we're looking at the programs, we get to look at it. I ask a lot of questions And I don't ask the questions because I want to know what the answers are. I ask the questions so that they learn how to ask the question and they be able to see themselves what's there. Like for an example, somebody's having an experience and say, well, I'm having a horrible experience and so forth. And I go, okay, what's going on? And they're describing it. And I say, okay, well, why do you feel this way? Well, because they're acting this way. I said, yeah, they're acting this way, but why do you feel this way?
Right.
Because we want to see the reason. What's your story? What's coming up in your mind? Because at that time I say, well, I feel small. People belittle me, or, I've always felt as the underdog, or I always felt judged. Then we go deeper to find the core program so we can clear it out so that no matter what's going on, they're not affected by that program any longer. So that's kind of what we do in the session. I don't promote that as a big thing because in essence, I get overwhelming amounts of responses at times. Yeah. And I limit them as much as possible, not because I want to limit them, but I also feel that my soul is saying we got to do stuff like we're doing, or create more tools to reach the masses so that more people actually get on board and create a shift in their own lives so they affect other people's lives, and then we shift the collective.
That's right. Right on, man. I look forward to the next time, and thank you for everything you're doing, and thank you for giving me inspiration and expansion on a personal level. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. We're doing it all together. We're having fun. Let's have some more fun.
That sounds good to me. Let's play. Good. Yes. Best to you and Kimberly.
Yes. Thank you.
Behave yourself while she's gone.
Yes. Unfortunately, I have to work. I have lots of work to do, so I don't have time to misbehave, sort of thing.
I'm kidding with you. I'll see you later. Take care.
Okay. Take care. Thank you again for having me on your show.
Yeah, always. Thank you.